So just tell me who you are, how you got to this point at Carolina, where you grew up, what your major is, and
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm John Cuenin. I'm a junior political science and economics major. I graduated from high school here in Columbia, went to Dreher, right down the road, but my dad's in the Army. So I've lived Kansas for 5 years, Augusta, Georgia for 7 years, and then 2 different cities in Germany for 5 years. How I got to this point, Carolina. I joined student government the spring of my sophomore year. I met Ebby Yazdani, who won student body president that year, and he kind of got me excited. I filed to run for Senate, and I've seen both sides in the last 2 years. I've seen both sides of student government. I was a senator, and then I was the president pro tem, and then after running for student body vice president and losing, I went to the cabinet, and I got to see that side of it. And that side excites me a lot more because, not to say that the Senate doesn't really do anything, but the Senate doesn't really do anything. It's a very good group of people, but a lot of the stuff they do is more symbolic than actually getting stuff done. And I think that in the past it has been different, and the Senate was really getting stuff done in the past. But at this point, student government is an organization that kind of sees itself as better than it really is. They kind of see themselves in a bubble. And in the past, student government used to be the example. It used to be the organization to model yourselves after. And it ran essentially flawlessly, got as much done as possible, really improved student life. And I feel like in the last 2 years, it has lost a lot of the grandeur that it had. And that could possibly be linked to Ebby's presidency, because, I mean, his cabinet only met every other week, and they didn't do as much as they could have by any means. But I was a member of the Honors Residence Hall government my freshman year. I was a member of the Horseshoe Hall government my sophomore year, vice president in Honors and president in Horseshoe. So I saw that side as well, the RHA side, which is drastically different. And I feel like RHA kind of filled the void that student government has. And I feel like those two organizations should really work together to be the model organizations on campus. I'm in a fraternity, Beta Theta Pi. I had a lot of obligations before college and during my first 2 years of college with the Boy Scouts of America. I ran an organization of upwards of 11,000 people in all of South Carolina, parts of Georgia, and parts of North Carolina. And after those obligations ceased last year, April of last year, I decided I wanted to join a fraternity, move from one fraternal organization to another. And I had a lot of friends in Beta Theta Pi, and decided that that was the best course of action for me, because looking back on it now, it's one of the greatest decisions I've ever made. Let me get some water. Let's see. I'm a member of Carolina Debate Union. Small organization, but good organization that has some good discourse on a variety of issues, not necessarily strictly pertaining to the university, but just to life in general. And I'm a member of Omicron Delta Kappa, which is the Leadership Honor Society. And then I'm an inactive member of both NSCS, National Society of Collegiate Scholars, and Alpha Lambda Delta, which is a freshman honor society, essentially. So other than that, I enjoy my time here at Carolina just by hanging out with friends and having fun and doing work. Mm-hmm. So cool. I guess that's my story.
What makes you proud to be a Gamecock? Why do you like coming to the university?
The caliber of student here is I'm in the honors college, but I see that you don't have to be an honors college student. You don't have to be a capstone scholar to succeed. Coming to Carolina is, it's like nothing I've ever experienced before. SEC schools in general, it's a whole different animal from any other college. That being said, I mean, obviously football, like 2001, when I hear that song, when I hear Sandstorm, I get goosebumps, and I know I made the right choice. Baseball games have been and are amazing to go to, and just the general interactions that you have with students here at the university just make me proud of the choice that I made. Let's see. I just makes you in your time here at the university, you meet so many different people that you wouldn't necessarily, you don't think you have as much in common with, but you have so much in common with these guys and girls, and it makes me proud to interact with people who are relatively open-minded and like to have fun and like to have good conversations with. So,
what do you think would set you apart from the other candidates? Like, why, if you had to, say a Twitter feed or whatever, if you had to narrow everything down to just a short one point, what makes you stand apart from the other candidates?
Well, my opponents they feel that student government is doing good things. And I understand that they are doing good things, but when, say, it's going to be a little longer than 140 characters, but Ms. Levy has been campaigning on fixing call boxes and putting in plans in place to build a new Russell House in 5 years. The call boxes should be fixed, and the Russell House plans are already in place. Those two things should not be, they should be the issues that student government takes up, but they should be very simply done. USCPD should be looking at the call boxes every day and making sure that they're working. They should have a team that maintains them. What I stand for is true advocacy for students. Student government is here. It's supposed to be the coverall organization for giving students a real voice. We talk to the administration. We talk to the local community. We talk to the government. We should be the voice for the student. And if the student, which has been in the past, the student is apathetic, there are still students there that want their voices heard. So I think what sets me apart is the fact that I'm not strictly running on just improving tiny parts of campus. I'm running to improve campus as a whole and student life on campus. So I think I have a more overarching outlook than just putting student legal services into place or fixing call boxes. So.
Gotcha. So what are some of the big initiatives?
Well, right now, like I said, student government is in this bubble. And not to blame any specific person, but I highly doubt that any of the executive staff, any of the cabinet, any of the Senate have gone out and reached out to their constituents. They haven't gone to the organizations that really have concerns. If I was elected student body president, I would go out, I would go to NAACP, I would go to college Republicans, I would go to Fraternity and Sorority Council, I'd go to NAACP, BGLSA. I would go to these organizations that really have a vested interest in different aspects of student life. And I would talk to them, and I would sit down with their members, I'd sit down with their leaders, and I'd talk to them about what I can do to help them. And that, I feel like that's partially what student government needs to be doing. Right now we have 1 week a year, Blitz Week, where we sit out on Green Street and we get people to fill out a survey half the size of that piece of paper. That doesn't do anything. You get a list of complaints and half of them are meal plan and the other half are parking. And you can't deal with meal plan because Sodexo is under contract with the university and that's not going to come up until 2015 at least. And you can't deal with parking because that requires millions of dollars. So and you can try to address the parking issue, but meal plan you can just try to sit down and with the student board of directors and create a plan for when they go back into contract with somebody. So I feel like we should really be reaching out and making it so student government is relevant to the students again. Another thing going along with that relevancy, it used to be that when student government held an event or put on a program, the presidents of organizations would be like, oh, student government's putting on this event, I'll go to this. Now, the presidents of those organizations are like, hey, you freshmen, go. Like, it's completely irrelevant, and granted, we're trying, and I've seen the struggles this year, and I saw the struggles last year, but student government has become irrelevant. And I feel like with a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication from a good cabinet and a good Senate that knows what they should be doing, that problem can be reversed.
Okay. You said you're in the cabinet now, is that correct? What do you like about the current administration? Like, I know we've kind of talked a lot about what you want to fix.
Yeah.
What do you like right now that you think you would carry on and that you would emulate maybe from Joe's were you to be elected?
He's very, first off, I like the fact that we actually meet once a week. I feel like when Abby made it a bi-weekly meeting, then that just kind of threw everything out the window. A lot of the people who are on who are in the cabinet, very dedicated group, and they have the students' best interest in mind, but they're looking at small things. And I feel like you can expand the cabinet, and I was actually thinking earlier, if elected, I might just put together an entire PR team that would help us with every single event that student government puts on. That PR team would be in charge of advertising for that. Because right now we have one press secretary, and the PR is supposed to be done by the cabinet and by the Senate. And they have other things to worry about. But Joe is very enthusiastic. I love the kid to death. He has the students' best interests in mind, but he came into a student government that was already at that point where it was irrelevant to students. He's done a lot he's worked with the administration on branding very well, and he's a good representative of the students. But when we go around at a cabinet meeting, half the people are like, yeah, I'm still working on the thing that I've been working on for a month and a half. And if you ask them, like, well, when was your last meeting about this? Oh, 3 weeks ago. Then you need to be on top of them. And it's hard to be on, to manage 45, 50 people so that they do their jobs exactly perfectly. But I would have, one thing I don't like is that he doesn't sit down personally with every cabinet representative, every cabinet member. And I would make sure that those would be the bi-weekly meetings. I would make sure that throughout a 2-week period, every single member of cabinet would come to my office for half an hour, well, 15 minutes, half an hour, and we'd talk about the progress, talk about what they need, talk about who they need to get in contact with. So I like that, and we've worked very well on this historian right now, and part of the historian's job is that transition to the next administration, and I've been working on the end of the year report, which wasn't. I've never seen an end of the year report for the last terms, and I feel like something like that needs to continuously happen.
What would being elected mean to you? Like, just personally know that students wanted you to be student body president. What would that mean to you, and what would that honor kind of feel like, do you think?
Well, it would definitely be the greatest achievement I've had probably my entire life so far. And to me, it would mean that students really listen. And because in the past, I've seen two of these elections. I've been a part of one. And in the past, students didn't truly listen to the candidates. They voted for who they want. Or like who they're friends with, who their friends are friends with. And I think that if I was to be elected, it would mean that the students like really like agree with my message, and I would take that seat in the CLC and I would just run as fast as I can to get as much as I can done. And I would put in a cabinet that is completely enthusiastic about helping students, and we would try to revolutionize the organization. So.
Do you think, or going into your, like after college, what are kind of some of your future plans, and what do you think the experience of leading a university as student body president could help you with in the future?
Well, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what plans I want. I have a lot of ideas for where I want to go, but I think it would be very good management practice. Like I said, those 50 people, there's about 140 people in student government, and I would be interacting with them on a day-to-day basis, and I think it would really help me learn who different people are, learn how to lead different people, because up to this point in every leadership role I've had, it's either been I'm with a small group of close friends who I'm working with, or I am with a large group of 14 to 19-year-old boys. And they're easier to manage because they respect you at every turn and they follow your every word. But when working with working with a large group of your peers, it can be difficult. You have to learn exactly how to talk to someone, exactly how to work with them to work along that path. And I think that would really help. Whatever I do in the future, I've thought of going to law school and going into politics. I've thought of going into business. I've thought of writing and directing movies. I've thought of going and working for the State Department as a diplomat. Like every single one of those situations, you're working with your peers, and you're trying to work with them to achieve a greater goal. And I think this will be one of the prime examples in my young life, if I do win, of doing exactly that. Working with your peers to achieve a greater goal, a goal that's greater than yourself. So.
Okay. Where can students find out? Like, do you have Facebook, Twitter, campaign stuff?
Yeah, there's a Facebook page, Cuenin for Carolina. There is a Facebook event. It's called Vote John Cuenin for Student Body President. There is a Twitter page, Cuenin 4 Carolina. And then I have an email, and I'm on Facebook. Like, if anyone wanted to contact me and talk to me about anything. I sat down today with a friend who did a project for one of his speech classes on researching how to improve handicap accessibility on campus. And I sat down with him at lunch, and he had some really great ideas. And it's very plausible to put in new ramps and make it so that automatic doors and handicap doors actually work. And anybody who wanted to sit down with me, and when elected, my door will always be open when I'm in there. I even was thinking about maybe sitting out in the Russell House during lunch, so that if people didn't want to necessarily come into the office but wanted to chat with me, I'd be sitting there for an hour and they could sit down and chat with me about anything. But I feel like in this position, you should always be accessible. So.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I don't necessarily know. I don't think there's much more. I mean, I love this university. I want to improve it as much as possible. And I feel like
if you had to pick one crowning moment so far at the university, what would it be? One experience, one moment.
Well, there's a lot of them. Rushing the floor against Kentucky was awesome. That was my favorite moment as a student in general, just as a fan. Jumping up and down with Devin Downey was really cool. I wouldn't say this is a crowning moment, obviously, because it's a loss, but I think it's the best. It's the last year during these elections, my loss taught me more than I've learned in anything else at my entire time here. And it humbled me a lot. So I'd have to say that that's probably where I've learned the most.
Mm-hmm. And then the Kentucky is.
The Kentucky game is the that and Alabama beating #1 Alabama that one year. Those two were and obviously the College World Series wins,
Yeah.
but whatever.
All right.
But yes.